Hey friends, I'm glad to have you here today. I had mentioned in a video not too long ago, maybe it was last week, I was talking about how I had picked up the TSV, Today's Special Value, on QVC that Laura Geller had out. And it's been a long time since I've done anything like that. Like, I've gotten a few beauty odds and ends here and there from QVC, but like one of those makeup kits, maybe it's been a while since one has even been offered. I just hadn't really had my finger on the pulse of what was happening there until recently. And when I saw this kit demoed a couple times, I was like, okay, it's a 5-piece set and I'm into it. It's called Laura's Tips and Tricks, and it actually is still available at a discount. I don't know that it's quite as discounted now as when I bought it, but you are still getting a deal on it if you would choose to purchase it. But I thought I want to put that into a look. I want to show everybody what it is that I ended up with, because it's not your normal formula of like Laura Geller Baked Balance and Brighten. It's actually the Baked Balance and Glow. And I thought I would just kind of show you guys how I put together a complexion look with this. Also, another reason why I picked up the set was I was curious about the new Wonder Balm blush, so I got that. There's a brush that's meant to be used with that product. We've got a mascara, and we also have a lip gloss here too. So I'm just gonna put that look into action today, and you can see what it's all about. Need a sip of coffee. That first sip feeling. So I've got all my skincare on, and something that I feel like I wish they'd be a little more transparent about this on QVC, because you're seeing the models, they've got this makeup on, but you know that they have a little more coverage than probably what just this can provide. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know there's got to be some concealer working into this routine, but they don't really play it off like, and the models are wearing concealer too. I guess I don't have proof that they are, but I'm pretty sure they would be. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that step first, since my concealer is a creamy consistency and this is a powder foundation that'll be going on top of it. So Maybelline Instant Age Rewind in the Brightener shade, and I'm just gonna dab that around really any of my areas that I would want to conceal. This is my e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush, and I'm just gonna get in there and spread that out. And I'm not saying that you couldn't do like a quick, natural kind of one and done look with just using a Laura Geller powder foundation. It would give a really natural look, and that's totally fine. I just feel like I've been around makeup long enough to kind of sense when there's some coverage going on, and I just feel like the skin is so even looking. They probably have some concealer on, which I don't mind doing. You know, it's just part of the routine, but it's not something that's part of the kit being sold. So I'm taking my larger end of my brush and I just dab that concealer in. And I'm sure a lot of viewers and Laura Geller lovers who see the presentations are aware that there's probably other products at play in the look. You know, they're also not giving a brow product, so you'd need that to finish that step, or if you wanted to wear eyeshadow. So I think people get it, but it's just sometimes the full face kits make you wonder a little bit. I'm gonna dab a little extra on that eye because, I don't know, it's Monday morning and I'm seeing a little more darkness there. And then one other thing that I'm going to do before I bring in the Laura Geller foundation is use some L'Oreal Infallible Blurfection. This is in the pink light shade. Just use whatever setting powder you want. My shade in the Laura Geller Baked Balance and Glow is medium, so it's not necessarily like a shade I want heavily up on my under eye, just because I want to maintain some brightness there. So I'm using my little triangle puff and just putting my light brightening powder, and I'll just set everywhere where I put concealer on. This is pretty much my normal routine. It doesn't have to be these exact products, but if I'm pulling in a Laura Geller baked foundation or any powder foundation, I'm going to use a concealer, set the concealer, and then let the powder foundation come in and do its work. Now that that's all around, I can just take my little Morphe under eye bullet brush. There are some areas where I really just laid down a good amount of powder, and this can dust away excess and just work in what wants to stay. So skin's actually looking pretty good right now, just with the concealed areas and the setting powder. But then we come in with this, and this is the Baked Balance and Glow Illuminating Foundation. I got it in the shade medium because I actually own this already in light, and I thought what would make the kit worthwhile to me? Well, it might be to get this in medium. And so you can see it's got some swirls of maybe some tan colors, also some probably straight up skin tone match type of shades. There's a little bit of a yellowish tone in this as well, along with a bit of peachiness too. And that's part of why this is a balancing kind of product. But what the illumination has that the other kinds don't is 5% pearl, I believe is what she said. If you were looking really closely, you can see a few little swirls of some glowy color on there. And I will say my TSV came totally beat up. Like the outer box looked awful. It came late. It must have gotten lost somewhere, and then it finally arrives, and I just thought, oh, something's broken inside. But this was wrapped in bubble wrap, and everything was totally good inside. But on the little foundation box, it says the 5% pearl in this color correcting foundation blurs away anything that ails you for a soft, luminous finish. On the presentation, they were acting like they were using this brush that is meant for the blush with the foundation, and at a glance, it looks like, well, yeah, that would probably be a fine brush for powder foundation, but it's actually almost like a duo fiber, like dense stipple type of brush, and I don't think it would be great for the powder foundation, honestly. It's called the Wonder Brush, and it's meant to be used with the Wonder Balm. You can just tell when you touch it that it's got that little, like, lighter density right at the tips that makes it more of a, like, tap it in, perfect for stippling on a cream blush type of product. But for the powder foundation, I'm just going to use my retractable brush from Laura Geller. It looks like this. It has really a lot of surface area and a lot of dense, soft bristles. I'm going to go into my product. It's not kicking up a bunch of powdery excess. And I'm just going to start blending this in on my skin. And hopefully this can answer the question, like, how glowy is it, Em? And I would say it's just slightly glowier than the regular Baked Balance and Brighten. And I can go between both shades. I have a Balance and Brighten that I'm currently using quite a bit of in light, but you're getting multiple tones in each one, and I can really wear light or medium. That's definitely one of the claims that they give in the QVC presentations is, you know, there's some leeway with the color selection because of all the tones in each one. There's probably a couple of shades that you can wear that will work for you, and I feel like that's true. So I'm getting that blended in, and can you see a gentle glow coming off of my skin here? I feel like this is even sneakier looking, perhaps even lighter on the coverage than just the original Baked Balance and Brighten. It seems like it's more firmly pressed into its little dome, and there's something about that soft luminosity that you get all over that just makes it seem even more natural than regular Balance and Brighten. And I feel like I've gone all over my skin. I've gotten some more evenness, but I also have that little bit of glow. It's buildable, you know, you can go in, you can add more. Now, anytime you're working in like a little bit of glowiness, some might say, is it blurring or is it actually accentuating little fine lines or pores or whatever? I feel like it's making my skin look really good and healthy as a whole, and definitely not like I'm wearing a powder foundation, but I would say it might accentuate just a little more on fine lines than the regular Baked Balance and Brighten does. It's definitely not too much. I like it. I'm glad I have it, and I think it is the least powder foundation looking powder foundation that I could ever think of using. But I think when we're introducing any amount of pearl into a product, like, I can just see little lines a little bit more. Getting close up to my mirror from about this distance, not really seeing them. But that's the lowdown on that. Another thing that I would add into the routine that's not included in the kit would be some bronzer. I'm just going to use my good old Baked Bronze and Brighten here. This is the one in medium, or I guess when I got this they called it regular still. I proudly have worked a little divot into this, but it's a beautiful bronzer, multi-year Emily Award winner. I love Baked Bronze and Brighten. It always just looks right. It's got swirls of tan, kind of a rich brownish tone. There's some pink and yellow. Just a beautiful mixture of tones in this product, and it gives the most natural looking tan. As you can see, it's adding that boost to my skin, but it's not going overboard. It's not being difficult. It's easy to blend. I'm just using my Sephora angled brush with that. And speaking of Sephora, Laura Geller is being sold at Sephora again. I say again because, am I correct or incorrect on this? Years ago, I feel like she did have her products on Sephora's website. I know for a fact she was at Ulta in the past and is now back, at least online. And I do feel like this kit is a really great deal, but generally speaking, you get on Laura Geller's website and there are a lot of times where there are markdowns. The best places to shop Laura Geller, I feel like, are QVC, because then you might find like some multi-kit. She has the shadow sticks, you know, that are in a multi-kit, and those are fantastic, and you're not going to find that deal like anywhere but QVC. But secondly, check Laura Geller's website before you buy something, just in case, because she usually has some deals going too. But look at that. Bronzy, natural looking. Just a couple of powders on my skin, not looking real powdery, huh? And then with this kit, even though Laura Geller has loads of popular baked blushes, the new thing she's introducing is called the Wonder Balm. It's called a hydrating blush, and this shade is called Floral Fresh. And it seems like a kind of soft, dusty rose. Probably works for anybody type of shade. The texture of it, they described it in the presentation as cream to powder. And I would say I kind of feel that way. It does feel nice and creamy immediately on your finger, but as you blend it in, it has a softness that doesn't really stay dewy and tacky. And here's where this brush comes in. I really like this brush. Like I said, at a glance, you're thinking, oh, that's just, you know, a dense type of practically foundation brush. And I'm not sure if it'll actually be visible on camera, but there is that duo fiber quality toward the tip where things are less dense. And that's a really great thing, I think, for tapping in any kind of cream or liquid blush product. So I'm gonna go into this, and yes, I played with this kit for a couple days because it came on like Thursday or Friday. And I've been playing around, but the size is really good to just like hit your cheek and be just the surface area I want it to be. I'm very pleased with the brush, and I'm just tapping that in, and I think the shade is beautiful, really natural flush. They were explaining that if you got auto delivery on this kit, they would be sending you a different shade of this in the future shipments. I think a different shade of this. They said they'd send the brown mascara. I'm guessing a different shade of the lip color as well. So that's cool. But I can't think that you would actually be using up. Like, it takes forever, even with consistent use. I remember having a mini size of a baked Balance and Brighten back in the apartment days. I was using it a lot, and it took years to get through it. Look at that. So my skin looks, I think, even more glowy with the addition of that blush that is just a pure creamy color. There's no shimmer in it, but I'm not feeling tacky at all. Like, I may look dewy, and it's crazy because typically the glowiness, after you put on a cream blush type of product, the glow is coming from one of two places. Either there's shimmer involved in the product, or there's just a moisture level in it that's making your skin look more glowy. And this, it's like, I don't know, I'm not tacky in the least, but I do have this product on as my base, but that blush went on and I feel like I'm totally highlighter optional skin. And this may make people wonder, like, what about the order of products? What about people who are like, I would never put cream over powder? Well, this is like a cream to powder, you know what I mean? It's not fighting with this baked Balance and Brighten or baked Balance and Glow whatsoever. I think it's a beautiful color, and it's leaving my skin looking really natural, not too heavy at all. But yeah, I dig that. I just did a couple things. I filled in my brows. I used my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil and my Morphe Micromanager Gripping Brow Gel. I also used my e.l.f. Lock It Down Shadow Primer because I thought, what are we going to do on eyes here? I don't want to make the eyes like a central focus. We're talking about this kit. But then I thought, you know, what about just using a couple of the things that were part of the look? What if we take a little of the bronzer, get a little of that on my crease brush, and just apply that to the crease, and then use some of the Baked Balance and Glow foundation on the lid. I mean, why not? This will just give us a little contrast here. Look here, we just very sheerly applied some of that. I might do a little bit on the outer part of my eyelid. It just kind of integrates the color a little bit more. I feel like I want to sneeze. I think it's just all these weather changes, guys, because now it's windy and back to being cold. And last week, part of last week, it was kind of toasty, and I think the body is just confused. But I've heard that from a lot of people lately. Okay. Baked Balance and Bronze, that's the only thing on my eyes. Gonna clean off that little M303 brush from Morphe, go into the Balance and Glow, and just apply that over like the inner part of my lid. No big deal. Easy stuff, basic stuff. The thing is, you could be dipping into a couple different parts of this compact and get deeper color or lighter color, just depending on where your brush goes. I could possibly have done a full eye look out of that, but that's good for now. I'm not gonna do eyeliner because I want you to see the extent of this mascara. It's a big old tube. The mascara is called the Kajal Longwear Mascara. I had never tried it before this kit, but I tried it on yesterday and it seemed to work well. Didn't flake off or or smudge or anything with wear throughout the day, but I kind of couldn't quite tell, like, is it holding my curl? Because the Benefit Bad Gal Bang has been holding my curl so well. But I'm going to try to get them curled up good and show you what this looks like. And then we have the lip color that did come with the kit, and you will have seen everything that was offered. So the brush is rubber bristles and a little bit tapered toward the tip, lots of short rubber bristles. And one thing I liked about this was that it seemed to build up really fast. Like I'm immediately seeing it on my lashes. Immediate length and thickness. You guys know I don't love having to rake through a lot, because the more you have to rake through, the more you risk dropping the curl. Unless you're that unique Benefit Bad Gal Bang formula where, yeah, I do have to build that up, but it just won't drop my curl. But look at that. Fairly dramatic, I think. One coat, and we'll go over to the other side. Now, I don't trust this mascara enough to put it on the lower lashes, so we're going to use the e.l.f. Lash Extender because that's a tubing mascara and we know it's not going to smudge. That's what I'll be putting on my lower lashes today. So I got the lashes curled on my left side now. And again, I'm not doing anything special with the way I'm trying to put this on. It just feels like it's grabbing the lashes right away. Look at that. I feel like it's looking really good. I'm going to hop back over to this eye now. And it's one of those products where you almost felt like in watching the presentations, it was like the Baked Balance and Glow and the blush were kind of like the lead items, you know, and this was just a supporting cast member, but it's actually a really good mascara. It's not taking too long to dry because as I went back in for this coat, I would say it seemed like it was nearly dry. I could just tell with the way the brush was hitting the lashes that the texture of the lashes was drying down slightly. So that's good. We want the product to kind of freeze on there, but still be a little buildable. I've tried maybe a couple Laura Geller mascaras over my makeup using time, and I would have to say without a doubt this is the best one I've used. So I've got a couple coats on each side, and then I'm going to do a little e.l.f. Lash Extender, like I said, on the lowers. And I'm not saying you couldn't do the Laura Geller on both top and bottom, but I'm just one who, if I'm going to see a smudge, it's going to be coming from those lower lashes, so that's why I do it that way. Yeah, that mascara really built up impressively fast. I'm wondering if I could do even more over here on this left eye. It can take multiple coats. This would be about the third coat, not getting funky ends. Seems to be doing good. And then the cherry on top of the look is this product here. This is called the Treat and Go Tinted Lip Oil, and it's in the shade Record Breaker, and that's been, you know, carefully coordinated to kind of go along with that blush, you see. So I'm going to pop this on, and this was more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. I actually felt like they kind of undersold the pigment level on this because I can put it on and it's seeming actually fairly opaque. It feels more lip oil-ish and less lip glossy, like compared to the e.l.f. I've been doing a lot of the e.l.f. ones lately. And those are called lip oils. And somebody even commented, like, is the putting on the lip oil going to break down the lipstick that you put underneath? And it's like, well, no, these are pretty much like glosses, the e.l.f. ones. You know, the texture is so much just like a comfortable gloss. This is thinner, but not as straight up slippery as oil, if you know what I mean. But I like the applicator. I can really get right out to the edge of my lips, which is what I wanted to do here. I wanted to show you just this and this alone on the lips. Sticking to the kit as much as possible. Like, this is the look. It's very natural, very everyday friendly, I think. And another thing I wanted to do, because this is just what I've been doing when I've been using my Laura Geller products, I get out my Baked Blurring and Setting Powder, separate product outside of the kit. This is the shade Porcelain de Fer. And I would take any kind of like light brush with some of that and just use it to set all over. This actually has a decent amount of coverage that it can deliver. Laura Geller even mentioned, you know, this could be a lighter weight foundation, lighter coverage maybe than the Bake, Balance, and Brighten, but still does offer something. And that takes down my glow just a little bit, as you can see, but I've still got that little gleam on the cheeks, but I feel a little more finished, a little more pulled together as a whole. Kind of the way I'd feel if I put an Hourglass ambient lighting powder all over my look at the end, but this is capable of covering much more than an ambient lighting powder. But that's my look, friends, with this new kit. I'm very pleased with it. I don't know that the Baked, Balance, and Glow is for everyone. It does offer a little extra luminosity, and I feel like it's the lightest in coverage as far as the whole range of Laura Geller baked products goes. I would say that one's the lightest coverage, then we go into Bake, Balance, and Brighten, then we get the double take with the fullest coverage. And another thing that I really didn't talk about in this video is the way a product like this can be so nice over a skin tint, a lightweight foundation, something that you just want to add a little different look to. That gentle luminosity that this provides can be very lightly added when you're not relying on this for your coverage too. You know what I'm saying? Let's say we've got light to medium coverage all over with a skin tint, and then this goes on top gently. That could be a really pretty look. I'm not brand new to this product. Like I said, I have it, and my other one is packaged like this for whatever reason, but that's the light, and then I got the medium in this kit. But I'd love to hear your thoughts if you ordered this kit as well. What did you end up thinking of it? I think it's a great little set, and it was just important for me to show it to you and show how it actually goes on, how I truly put a look together, because concealer is involved, other steps are happening, and I wanted you to be able to see that. So thank you for your time, everyone. I will see you again soon. I love you. Bye.